We choose this busy that we have and this work that we do and that we go, we choose it. So when I say we're busy, that's not a bad thing. We choose it, but we have to put healthy boundaries around our marriage.
Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhodes.
And I'm Marilyn Rhodes. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
This is Brad Rhodes with the Grace Marriage Podcast, and we are thrilled to have Nick and Christen Mingione on the podcast today for about 5 different reasons. You know, one, Nick is the head baseball coach at University of Kentucky. 2, they have an amazing marriage and they keep their faith primary. 3, I'm a big Kentucky fan just across the board and always have been, and have 3 kids at UK right now. So it's a really a privilege to have you guys on the podcast. Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us, and you've trained your kids right if they're at Kentucky. So it's like you guys have done great. I knew I'd succeeded as a parent one time when they were young kids and UK football season was starting, and they said, "Dad, can we please go to the Norfolk State game?" First game of the year, and I'm like, when your kids are begging to watch Norfolk State, I've done something right. So that's good. Well, why don't we just jump right in and tell us a little bit about y'all's story? Like, how did you guys meet? Give us a little bit of your testimony, just so our audience can get to know you a little bit. Well, I saw Kristen looking at me. We actually met in Starkville, Mississippi, and I was the coaching thing's kind of taking you all over, as you can imagine. And when I got asked to go by John Cohen, and offered me a job to go to Mississippi State, I remember having the thought, thinking, I guess I'm probably not going to get married. I'm not going to meet my wife in Starkville. Nothing against Starkville, but there's only 12,000 people that lived in the city at the time. So we actually met at a card game. It was a non-gambling team game called Hand and Foot, and we would play at night. There was a lot of people from the athletic department, assistant softball coach, director of baseball operations, his girlfriend. Well, anyway, we had a mutual friend that had set us up. And Brad, I'm here to tell you that we played that night. And one of the smartest things I've ever done in my life is actually let Kristen win that day in cards. And
that's a good story that he tells himself. It's a good story.
So we've been hanging out really ever since that night, and been married 14 years now.
So what was it when you saw Kristen? Like, what point do you think, oh, I'm liking?
Oh, this is so funny.
Tell him what you tell our son.
So we have one son, Reeves. He's 11. And one thing that I have done with him at night is I just tell him different stories about my life. But I tell him a story, but I don't tell him who it's about. Mm-hmm. But the story is always about me. And
I like it.
So one time I told him, I was like, this is a story about a guy who was getting ready to play cards with friends. And then this beautiful woman walked in the room, and this guy was like, and just couldn't believe the beauty of this woman. And then they ended up playing cards. And so I tell the story that night, Brad, we were going over explaining the game. It's a pretty complex game. And my buddy Greg and I were explaining Kristen the rules. So we kind of taught her the game, and we
let me interject here. It's a team game. Greg was on my team. So Greg was explaining to me, and Greg's girlfriend was on Nick's team. But Nick had to interject and help coach me.
So we were explaining to her at the beginning how to play the game. Well, when we started playing, Kristen made a move for her team. And I was like, well, what you could have done there was, and she goes, I don't listen to you. You're not even on my team. And I was like, ooh,
you thought you're going to be on my team soon.
I was like, I'm like, all right, this is a strong-willed woman. I'm like, that's what I need in my life. So, we've been hanging out every day.
Now, did you dig him as much as he dug you?
I remember walking in that room, and there's this guy in athletic attire sitting there. Everybody brought something. We did like a potluck type dinner, and he's just sitting there looking like Mr. Cool on the couch. And I'm like, who's this guy? And get up and help at the table. Just sitting there. And then we played cards the second night. They only played once a week, but all of a sudden they had a second card game that week. And I'll never forget my boss at that time. His wife, he and his wife were great mentors to me, but he told me, he was like, nothing good comes playing cards. And then there I am, I'm just fresh out of grad school, had just been working that first year. And so we've literally been hanging out ever since that card game.
So when did you start warming up? I mean, I know like he's like saw him as like a hunter saw a 12-point buck in a field, but when did you start warming up to him?
So we played that second card game, and then I actually had a really huge event for work, and I had to go back to the office after to stuff like 150 packets for this event. And it was on campus, small town. He's like, well, do you need help? And I'm like, I could definitely use help stuffing these packets. And so we went back to my office. We're doing this work that I had the next day, and we just started talking about our faith, and we just started talking about that was kind of the foundation. That was kind of our first conversation. And then he called me, I think the next week, and just asked me out on a date. And I'm like, okay, maybe. And then, just evolved from there. So we had friends that knew a lot better than us because I was full-time working. I was very busy in my own career. This was in February. His season had just started. It was his first season at Mississippi State as a young assistant. And so I was not looking for him.
Yeah, and for our listeners that probably don't follow college baseball as much as they should, Mississippi State has quite a baseball tradition, so it's like Mississippi State's it's a very demanding place to coach baseball, I'm sure.
We're in the SEC. Yeah. It's demanding league.
And Brad, in baseball, for our listeners that don't know, the College World Series is in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Where every baseball team wants to end up. And that night that she's talking about, we were stuffing these bags and setting up for this event. And that's when I realized that Christen was a believer and she loved Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And then we got it. So where are you from? Where were you born? And she was like, I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm like,
this
gotta be.
It's like your World Series, so.
And she was born in Omaha. Come on.
Yeah. We had some parallels, Nick, because like when I just made a pact not to date anybody for a year because dating me was bad for me and other people. And so I was walking down the hall at work at 10 at night, and I looked over and I saw Marilyn, and it was like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. I remember what she was wearing. I mean, and I just like, without even thinking, I just turned and like walked in that office. It's like, it was like a stinking magnet. And then her sister was in there, and I talked to her 45 minutes, and her sister said, I've been working here 3 years. He's never talked to me for 3 minutes in 3 years. And then I got to know her saying she loved Jesus, served Jesus, bold about her faith, strong woman. And I was like, I couldn't believe she existed, much less that I was a possibility, so same.
Oh, same. Just her heart and her toughness, and just she wore these like blue jeans. I could see them perfect right now. And she walked in because it was potluck. So everyone bought something, and she showed up with her little goodies or baggie or whatever. And she was like, a good woman never shows up empty handed. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. So how long did y'all date before you got engaged and married?
We dated about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Before we got engaged. And then we were engaged for about another year.
Okay.
Yeah. A little less than a year, because we're actually coming up on the 14th of December. And I don't bet you didn't even know I knew this. Is when we actually got engaged. Yeah.
Yesterday was the 30-year anniversary of the day we got engaged, so it was kind of
15 years for us on the 14th. So we're 15 years behind.
Yeah. So I guess how much you're enamored with her. I mean, looks, spirituality, has that continued, or did that wear off any when you got married, or is it, how's it now?
Oh no, I tell her all the time. It's so funny. I'm sorry. We prayed before this, and I was like, Christen, we just want to be vulnerable, and we just want to be real we can on this, and just want people to watch it and go, okay. But there are times where I'm like, Christen, your hair looks amazing. It looks so good. And she'd be like, I actually showered. Like,
yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
Gee, I can't believe, Nick, you said that.
Because we work with college athletes, and I tell them all the time, and I've been so fortunate to walk alongside a couple of ministries and get to know some of our female student athletes. I've been blessed. We have 40 players, and we also want to show them what a marriage looks like. But especially my young female athletes, I tell them all the time, I'm like, marriage is so much fun. I love being married. And I think sometimes the culture and our world can tell us a little bit different about marriage, but Amen. It really is. I enjoy it. And it's gotten better as time has gone on, but we're also investing in it too, right? It doesn't come without hard work. It doesn't come without struggles. I've been refined in the fire in my marriage, so to speak. And, but yeah.
I do. Good. And Brad, one thing that you and Marilyn taught us is either you date your wife or you don't. And I know we'll eventually get to that. But there are times where I'm like, Christen, will you please wear a dress tonight? Will you she is just so beautiful. And I tell her this all the time.
Yeah.
And I just love her.
He's the ultimate encourager. Hype man.
But isn't it awesome to have a husband, Marilyn tells me, she goes, I don't feel beautiful, but I know you think I'm beautiful.
Yes.
And that's, that's huge. And your marriage is your ministry. And that's what I want people to get. I mean, the way we got into marriage ministries, people started asking us to counsel them because they said, your marriage looks fun. Just tell us what you do, and so you're right. I mean, now you have a very demanding career being a head baseball coach at an SEC school. A lot of folks will tell me, well, we don't have time to date. We don't have time for our marriage. How do you find time for Christen and your marriage when you have so many demands from the complexity of D1 sports?
Yeah.
So we pray about this a lot and making sure, but one of the things, and I'll let Nick tell you, when we first got here, I took a step back from full-time work. And so I travel with our team. I'm at practices. I work all of our summer baseball camps from 1st through 8th grade, our high school camps. I get to know these families, and we're truly invested in it. My son is there right alongside of us, but we have now the opportunity to do it together. But one thing that we do not compromise on is, for example, we go on a date almost every week, very few weeks throughout the year. And you said this at a marriage retreat that we were at, and it's you either do it or you don't. And it's so true, because earlier in our marriage, we didn't. And we've made the commitment. So that was 2016. And we have been going strong on our date night, even so much so. And I'll let you tell about when we first were hired.
Yeah, because so many people, as you can imagine, just being a leader of a program, they just get pulled in a lot of directions. And one thing that the Lord has really been teaching me lately, and Chris and I were talking about this before, but when you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And the job that we're in just requires a lot of time. And I've always said this, that time is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give somebody. Mm-hmm. Because it's like your words and your time, as you know, Brad, you can't get it back. Mm. Just we can't get our words and we can't get our time back. So Christen, I tell people this all the time. She is amazing. Brad, I'm convinced she can run our country. But we just will not sacrifice our marriage for this job. Yeah. Because we are children of God. That's who we are. This is what we happen to do, is we help and shape young athletes, right? Student athletes. So Christen's right. We date every single week. But also what I've realized being in my position, and I hope this could help somebody else and just one of our listeners, that for a long time I struggled. I'm like, man, how is it I'm spending 10 and 12 hours a day at the office and with my team? I'm not doing that with my wife. Mm-hmm. This doesn't seem right. And what I've had to realize is with Christen and Reeves, I have to be good in the mornings and at night. So every morning with our son, I drive him to school. And the second I drop him off, I immediately call Christen and we spend time together on the phone. Would it be better face to face? It would be. But that's how we have it set up right now. So we spend time in the mornings on the phone, throughout the day, and at night. We just communicate and we spend time with each other. And I think that is super important because there's only so many hours in a day, but we intentionally carve time out every day for one another.
That's awesome.
And I'll give the example of being a Division I baseball coach. So when we first arrived, they wanted to do his radio show on a certain evening. And they came to him and said, hey, here's the time. Mind you, he's a first-time head coach. We're young, we're new to this. And the time that they chose, it was our date night time. And so he went back to him. It was 6:30 at night. I don't remember which day of the week it was. And he just said, that's our date night. We do this every week. I can either do it before, I can do it after, or I can do it on another day. And I remember one of our administrators at the time, he was such a great mentor to us. And years later, he referenced that and he was like, I loved how you guys set healthy boundaries. It wasn't because here's the deal. We choose this busy that we have and this work that we do and that we go, we choose it. So when I say we're busy, that's not a bad thing. We choose it, but we have to put healthy boundaries around our marriage because otherwise other people and other things they're just going to strip away at us. And so that's one of the ways that we have tried to do that with his demanding job.
That's awesome. But you said you either date or you don't. That's so true. In Atomic Habits, it says it's easier to do something 100% of the time than 90% of the time. So we just stuck a stake in the ground and said, we're going to date every week and the world's going to deal with it. And my mentor taught me, he said, your time is your chips and you get to play with your chips. So everybody's going to want to play with your chips, but ultimately you get to decide how many chips you want to put with Marilyn.
Yeah. And Brad, another thing that I've had to learn, and really the hard way, is when we were at Mississippi State, I was the recruiting coordinator, constant phone calls. Then we move here and I'm the head coach. And sure, there's even sometimes at times more phone calls, just different types of phone calls. Well, Brad, I would make the excuse early in our marriage where I would come in to the house on a recruiting phone call and wouldn't give Christen the proper time or attention. And I'll just go in the other room or do whatever. And it's just like, I never thought about how that portrays or would make Christen feel. It's just like, hey, I'm working. I got this. I needed to talk to this guy. I've been working and recruiting this guy forever. And I just had to learn the hard way that no, that's not right. So now I make a conscious effort to not come in on the phone if I need to sit in the garage or walk outside and finish a call or whatever. But when I come home, I put my phone and I go to Christen first, even before Reeves, and I hug her and I kiss her and I tell her hello. And I just like recognize her and I'm with her and I try to be present with her and then go to Reeves, our son, second. And but I've learned the hard way because I didn't always do that.
And isn't marriage amazing? Because I mean, like I know, like in your career, you've had some great years. You've had some years that were more of a struggle, and and isn't just nice to have Christen there with you for the whole deal. I mean, for the College World Series, for the years that didn't go as you had hoped. I mean, I just want you to speak into what it's like to have a really good marriage to walk through those ups and downs.
Yeah, this is my 20th year in the SEC. And I've been coaching for 25 years. So I've been in the league now for 20 years as an assistant, and this will be our 10th year as a head coach. And she has been there. We've been there from the best years in our program's history to we've been on the bottom. We finished dead last in the SEC and we've won the SEC. So you're right. Like we've had it. And I tell people this all the time, Christen, like my personal relationship with the Lord, our marriage has been the one consistent thing. And there's been times where, yes, our marriage, there are times where we've really struggled. And there's times with my faith, I put things into winning the championship more than I was putting it into my faith. And I was trying to do it. And I didn't surrender that and give that to the Lord. But Christen has been the one that has been right beside me the entire time. Literally, when people say like unwavering, like faith or commitment, she has been right there the whole time. And there was times where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And she's like, no, you're doing this. You got this, Nick. Like she has just been my rock through all of that. It's been beautiful.
And there have been times in our marriage we've had to lay all the cards on the table. Like, what is God calling us to do? Because baseball is not about us. We get this amazing opportunity, but is this where God's calling us? And had to have some really conversations of, all right, is the Lord leading us away from this? Right. And we would walk away if baseball was more important than our marriage. We're going to walk away. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And we've struggled in some areas and we've worked through it as far as, you know, the demands of the job, because here's the deal. The recruits are still coming. You're trying to be the first. You're trying to do all these things. And so we've just really made a commitment and a conscious effort to interweave our family into our baseball program. And that's the only way we know how to do it. And with Jesus, like I literally don't know how people do it without Jesus. Like I don't understand, because I am such a broken, sinful person. I have really good ideas. And a lot of times I think I can do it. My pride gets in my way. I can do it on my own. And I'm humbled every single time, but it's beautiful.
But you know, one of the things that you dating every week, it creates this unseen capital in your marriage that, like, I can tell you adore Nick. And I can tell Nick adores you and just thinks you're it. But the reason that is because you choose to date. You spend time together. You cultivate that. So so the affection and the admiration, it continues. Those that think they're not in love anymore, and those that think that we're not close, we don't like each other, they're frankly just folks that have quit spending time together and pursuing one another. So my encouragement to our listeners is, man, go after it. You know, you don't get great at anything without a lot of reps.
That's exactly right.
And y'all have had a lot of reps.
Oh, so many. Like, we have our home restaurant. We got our server. Like, know us. They're like, here's the Mingiones. Like, they're here. You know what I mean? And we go to different restaurants, but we have just found that we just love to connect over, like, food. I love to eat, Brad. Like, I love food. But we do it. And you know what I do? I give Kristen my cell phone. I used to wear an Apple Watch. I got rid of it. Like, it felt like it was distracting me, whatever. That's a different topic. But I give Kristen my cell phone, and it's just,
I put in my purse.
And she, like, it is just up, and it's our time. And it's like,
so the babysitter can call the restaurant, or she can call my cell phone. And our staff and our players, it's funny, they pretty much know where to find us. Lexington, Kentucky is where we live, and it's like a big small town. That's what I always tell people. We have these great amenities in the city, but we just have this hometown feel. I just love our people. And but guess what? My phone doesn't ring as much as his.
No, I know. Do you have is it a go-to place y'all go to a lot?
We go to Malone.
We go to Malone.
Oh, Malone. That's
yeah.
It's it's interesting. That's helpful to me, because it's like my phone. I struggle more with the phone than Marilyn. You know, Marilyn's very relational, very focused. I love to do 18 things at one time. So that I will take your advice on that. So, but I just speak into legacy. Like, you got 40 kids, and you got kids coming through there all the time. And so if you're their coach, you're the one they're looking to. Why do you see it so important for you to model a marriage like you're modeling?
Yeah, I love the word that you said, model, because I would tell you that I learned this not through marriage, but through being a parent. And I have this saying that things are better caught than taught. Mm-hmm. And I learned this a valuable way during COVID. We all remember, I'm sure we remember where we were in March when everything went down, and, you know, we're getting ready to leave to go to Vanderbilt and play. And our sports administrator calls and is like, hey, don't get on the bus. I'm like, what? He's like, just hold tight. Like, there's some stuff going down. And so anyway, we get there in March, and I get sent home, and here I am with Kristen around me every day, every second. It's like, hold on, time out. Shouldn't you be? But I started doing my quiet time, Brad, and my son Reeves would wake up, and he caught me reading my Bible every morning. And naturally, he was like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm just reading the Bible. What are you writing in your Bible? Well, Reeves, I mark certain words, and this is what I do. And he's like, can I read my Bible? I'm like, yeah, sure. Go grab your Bible. And he's like, Dad, can I write in my Bible? Yes, go grab your Bible. And I made him a card, and he was doing it, but he caught me reading it. And that was way more powerful than if I said, Reeves, I need you to meet me up here as soon as you wake up first thing in the morning and read your Bible.
And he was 4 at the time.
Yeah.
Now, how old is Reeves now?
He's 11.
So just to encourage you. So my oldest daughter got married, and she dates her husband every single week for the last 3 years.
Oh, cool.
And so they get back on their honeymoon. She goes, I say, Zach, what are we doing this week on our date? And he's like, It's like, what do you mean? It's Zach, that's just what you do. So like if you date every week,
Yes.
Reeves won't even think about it. He'll just date every week because he just assumes that's how you do marriage.
Yes.
And that's because that's the only thing he's ever seen. So people that are listening, if you don't date every week, your kids likely won't date every week. If you have a complacent, coexistent norm as a marriage, your kids will probably have a complacent, coexistent norm as a marriage. Just because people tend to repeat what they see because that's just how they know to do it.
And I think oftentimes too, we can give excuses on why we can't date, right? Well, I can't afford a babysitter. I can't.
No.
Well, there was a time in our marriage where we couldn't afford a babysitter early on. We're both working parents. And so we did babysitting swaps with a friend. So, we would babysit and they would go on their date. And then another night, their kids would come over. And if you truly want to figure it out, you can. There's no barrier to entry to date your spouse.
But I could not agree more. And people tell me marriage is so stinking important and they won't put a dime of it in their budget. I'm like, give me a break here. I said, if you paid half as much for marriage at streaming services, you can date the fire out of her. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just first, thanks for being on the show. And we're just going to take a quick break. And do you mind coming back for a part 2?
Let's do it.
That'd be awesome. Well, this is Nick and Christen. Is it Mingione? Am I pronouncing it right?
You got it.
Great. And they're so honored to have them on the podcast. I'm so thankful for you guys, and we'll come back for a second episode. Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.